the song with your heart. Play the song with your heart.
And one time.
Next topic, we are discussing the NFC Championship game. This is the Lions versus the 49ers. And this game right here was just a lot of man, there's so much things that was complete and utter garbage of this game. Um Off rip, the Lions, they were dominant that first half. They were up 24-7 at halftime. And so it was looking very bad for the 49ers. But then ultimately, the 49ers, they came back. I think they scored 27 unanswered and ultimately won that game. And
Yeah.
Brock Purdy was able to get it done in that second half. He was able to utilize his legs. He was able to make the right play when it mattered most, and they won them the game. And you have to give him credit for that. The defense for the 49ers were able to hold the Lions at bay, even though there was a bunch of drops. Oh my God. There was an egregious number of drops from the Lions players. It just felt like for whatever reason, the third quarter came around. I don't know if it was black magic or what, but all of a sudden, the Lions player just forgot how to catch, forgot how to tackle. The safeties and the linebackers forgot how to tackle. The DBs forgot how to catch. Like it wasn't just the receivers, it was the DBs. I mean, the DBs normally, if you can't catch, you play DB. But damn, hit him right at the face mask, and it bounced off of him. And Brandon Ayuk somehow caught it, and then they were able to score off of that. But it was some of the most egregious stuff I've ever seen from a team in the NFC Championship game. And the Lions, I saw a stat. I believe their kicker is not very good. I saw some stat about how many kicks the kicker has made and missed, and it's not all that good. And so if that was the reason why Dan Campbell elected to go on fourth down almost every single time, then I can understand. But I will say this though. The Lions, I think they kicked the field goal. I think it was 7 seconds left. Yeah, it was 7 seconds left in the second quarter. They kicked the field goal instead of going for it. They could have gone for it and possibly getting another touchdown. So I was like, okay, he went for it there. I mean, I guess they'll go for the field goal again. But no, they didn't. They just went for it on fourth down twice when they should have went for a field goal on one of those drives. And I think Dan Campbell cost his team. I think some of these receivers, specifically Josh Reynolds, cost his team because Jared Goff, did he miss some open throws? Absolutely. He did miss some open throws. But Jamison Williams, a dime in the end zone, he couldn't catch it. Josh Reynolds, drop passes after drop passes, the fourth down play. Was there another fourth down play he dropped?
No.
Oh, it wasn't.
Well, I don't think so.
I know it was the first one, and then I think it may have been a third down play. He may have dropped a pass. That probably what it was. But he was dropping passes left and right where they needed they needed him to catch it. Those were like momentum swing type of catches. If he catches that, they have the momentum, and he just kept dropping it. And so, and then the defense, they just kept giving up over and over. They kept allowing Brock Purdy to run the football and all this other stuff. And Brock Purdy was able to win the game. And I just want your reaction to this game.
Okay. I was just looking to see. Yeah, it was only that one play I believe Josh Reynolds dropped on fourth down. I predicted the Niners coming in the game because, I saw what it was going to be from the jump. But I didn't expect the Lions to get up 24-7 at the half. I thought the game was over. But it's the NFL. Anything can happen. So, as you know, I'm going to stick around. I'm going to keep watching. Let's see what how the foolishness unfolds. And lo and behold, the Lions did Lions things. Lions took mad years to get back to this position and then blew it big time. I think this is the biggest choke in NFC championship game history. So yeah, that's not a bad look. And as far as like you said, Josh Reynolds dropping the ball. Amon Ra even dropped the pass. I was like, that's he was wide open. That's kind of uncharacteristic. But yeah, man. So I have a question. I can't remember too much about this game. Was the run game for the Lions getting shut down in the second
Um,
half?
let me see.
Because they was
Um,
moving the ball with ease the first half.
I don't have the stats for that, but what I will
That's
say
fine.
is that they were playing relatively effective. I don't know what the rushing yards was looking like in that second half, but all I know is that Jahmyr Gibbs did fumble the ball, and
Yes, he did. I
that
do remember that.
was huge for
Yeah.
just the confidence of the 49ers because after that, because remember I think they scored the touchdown off of the bounce. Remember
Hmm.
the DB bounced his face mask. Brandon Ayuk scored off of that. I think after that, the Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs may have fumbled the football, and then I believe they scored again, and that just it just gave the 49ers all of the momentum and they were able to
Yeah.
run with it and stuff like that. Brock Purdy was able to utilize his legs. They were able to score. I'm just looking at the scoring drives in the second half, and they kicked the field goal in the third quarter. Brandon Ayuk, as we all know, they scored. Christian McCaffrey scored. Jake Moody field goal. Elijah Mitchell scored. And Jameson Williams at the end. Also, another thing. What the hell was the Lions doing at the end? Like when they had the ball last. So off rip, they ran the ball on third down. Like, come on, bro. What is going on? Like, you can't make this stuff up. And so they had to use the timeout. And
Hmm.
then they got the conversion on fourth down. But you used the timeout. So now you have the onside kick and pray that the 49ers make a mistake. It was just a lot of blunders by Dan Campbell and that Lions team that just pissed me off because I felt like they did everything they needed to do to win that game, but because of mental errors, because of dumb mistakes, they allowed the 49ers to come back. And that's all that it takes. Like you can outplay your opponent, but if you don't take care of everything, like making sure that you catch passes, making sure that you don't fumble the ball, guess what's going to happen? The other team is going to take advantage of that and they're going to come back and win the game. And they didn't do that. They didn't handle their business in the second half. They didn't score. They didn't score until what was it, the touchdown? And that's about it. Like 27 unanswered in the second half. That is egregious. You cannot allow that. You cannot allow that. Not at that time. Not at that game.
Nope.
And yeah, speak on Brock Purdy, man. I just want to hear how you feel about Brock Purdy in the second half.
Okay, so Brock Purdy played well. I'm not going to say he played bad. That first half, he was looking
Mm.
pretty abysmal. But like I said, there's a difference between these teams. Well, teams like the 49ers. If Brock Purdy isn't looking too good, you can still rely on the defense, even though they did give up 24 points, but you can still rely on the defense and rely on the run game to get stuff going. And second half rolls around, the defense anchored down, wasn't really allowing too much on the lines. And then that's when Brock Purdy could really get it going, get in the rhythm. He's making plays with his leg. He's scrambling out the pocket. So this is things I'm talking about. When you have a well-built team like the 49ers, you can afford to go down multiple possessions, and then you still in the game for real, for real. And one of the things I think we've said on this podcast, I said we got to see what Brock Purdy looks like when he's playing from behind. And well, he did the. I mean, granted, some luck rolled his way. We ain't gonna sit up here and act like that ball he threw right off dude face mask and just so happened to bounce in the IU. We ain't gonna say like pretend like that wasn't a little lucky.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think he had another play. He threw it right to the DB and he dropped it. So
Mm-hmm. Yep.
yeah, Brock Purdy, he played well enough to win him. He did what he had to do. He made the plays, used his legs. Actually, he used his legs a lot,
Yeah, 5
surprisingly.
attempts for 48 yards.
Yeah. So yeah, salute to Brock Purdy, I
Salute.
guess. But
Yeah.
you know,
He did his thing, man.
Am I sold that he's a top QB? No, I'm not Ryan Clark. I'm not gonna get up here and say he separated himself from Justin Herbert. And I'm not saying that. No.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
I'm seeing a lot of. I'm seeing. See, this is the thing that frustrates me about the whole Brock Purdy discussion is that the minute he does something well, they tend to over exaggerate everything. They tend to say, "Oh, now Brock Purdy is a step above this person. He's in a different class." And I'm like, yo, hold on. I listen, he did great. It was unbelievable. But let's stop this. Stop all of this. He's above this player now because of this moment. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Because what happened? What happened to Jalen Hurts this year? People were crucifying Jalen Hurts, but but last year, last season, there was people that were saying, "Oh, is Jalen Hurts better than Lamar Jackson? Is Jalen Hurts
Mm-hmm.
a top 4, top 3 QB?" Where are those conversations now? You're not
In the
hearing that
trash.
anymore. In the trash. And see, we are doing the same exact thing with Brock Purdy. People are prisoners of the moment, revisionist history, doing all that because he had an amazing moment. Obviously, coming back from 17 points, 27 unanswered is amazing. But to sit here and act like he is all of a sudden better than Justin Herbert, better than Dak, better than Kurt, come on now. Come on now. If you want to say Brock Purdy is a top 12 quarterback, fine. Go right ahead. I disagree, but all right, whatever. But to say he's better than Justin Herbert? Come on now, man. Come on
Not
now.
even on his birthday.
Come on now. Stop it. We
You
already
know how
know.
fast Kyle Shanahan would trade Justin Herbert trade Brock Purdy for Justin Herbert? Your
Exactly.
kid would pack his bags and be like, "Hey, go down the street."
Exactly.
Kidding me? That's a silly
Exactly.
notion. And this is why I don't be paying attention to the media because they just say the most outrageous stuff, and especially Richard Sherman. Oh my goodness. But anywho,
It
yeah, man,
seemed,
Brock Purdy played
yeah,
well.
man.
He played
Yeah.
well.
It
In the
seems
second
like
half, first half, he played garbage.
it seems like some of these media people, right? They don't want to. They're afraid that they're going to be in the wrong side of history if they keep being on this like certain stance that they are. And so what they do is that the minute that this player that they're critiquing, that they're criticizing does something well, they all of a sudden have to, you know, go above and beyond, right? Say outlandish stuff to make it seem like, oh, no. I believe he's this, I believe he's that, right? Because they're afraid that, oh, if I keep saying this bad about him, if I keep trying to deny what he is, that later down the road, if he does become great, I'm gonna look bad. Like this is unbelievable to me. Like stand on what you believe in. Don't go from, oh, Brock Purdy, he's a game manager. Oh, Brock Purdy, he's not better than Jared Goff, to now saying he's better than Justin Herbert. How we go from he's not better than Jared Goff to now he's better than Justin Herbert? Where does that come from? How do you jump all them spots? And see that's what frustrates me. I'm looking at this graphic from this show. I'm not going to name the show because number one, I don't like the show, and number two, that show, man, that co-host is don't know ball at all. He don't know ball at all. I sent this at the group chat. This guy had top 10 players for the Super Bowl. Guess who was number two?
Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy. And guess what? Patrick Mahomes was the only Chiefs player on that list. On that list. And Brock Purdy was number two. He was above Christian McCaffrey and Fred Warner. Come on now, man. Come on now. What are we doing? What are we doing? See, that's the stuff that irks me. That's the stuff that irks me. You can praise Brock Purdy without going overboard, without overrating him, without saying he's above Justin Herbert, who's, in my opinion, one of the sixth, seventh best QBs in the NFL. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't. And they'll say, oh, watch the film. Oh, look what he's doing when it matters most. Yeah, he has a squad. He has a great head coach. He has a great defense. Of course, it's, you know, It's a team sport at the end of the day. And where you get drafted, where you're put matters. It matters. The reason why Dan Marino never won a ring. The reason why Eli Manning won 2 rings. It's about where you are and who are the head coaches and the players around you. And for these people to all of a sudden crown Brock Purdy, put him at this tier where all these quarterbacks that we acknowledge that are either elite or that are very good, all of a sudden have him surpass them. I'm not with that. I'm not with that at all.
Me either.
I'm not with that. My final point on this conversation, I'll say this. Brock Purdy reminds me of a certain quarterback. He reminds me of Russell Wilson. He reminds me of Russell Wilson, his first 2 years with the Seahawks. Now, Russell Wilson, he was a better runner. Obviously, he was more athletic. I would say Brock Purdy, he's better in the pocket than Russell Wilson. But I say that because Russell Wilson, his first 2 years, was a game manager. And there was conversations about Russell Wilson, like he was getting praise. I wouldn't say to the level of Brock Purdy, but he was definitely getting a lot of praise by a lot of people in the media and stuff like that for his ability to come up when it matters most. He makes the right decisions when it matters most. So I bring that up because I remember 2014, the Packers versus the Seahawks in the NFC Championship game. And I believe Russell Wilson had like 3 interceptions that game. Like he didn't play well at all. But guess what? The fourth quarter came around and they were able to come back. They were able to come back. They leaned on beast mode. The defense played well. And all of a sudden, onside kick happened. One of the players on the Packers, he forgot how to catch, and they were able to get this game in overtime, and they won the game off of a Russell Wilson pass to Curse. And see that's the thing. That's why I say Brock Purdy and Russell Wilson are very similar in that they're both game managers, but they can come, they can make plays when it matters most, and you can win a Super Bowl with those players. I look at Brock Purdy as the same way. But guess what though? Did did people say that Russell Wilson was a top was did people say Russell Wilson was like elite? Did people say Russell Wilson
Nope.
was very good? They say, he's a solid QB. He's a guy you can win with. He's a game manager who can make plays on third down. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like that's what he was. People didn't all of a sudden crown Russell Wilson. He had to work his way. He had to continue to play years on years on years before we all of a sudden said, "Oh, Russell Wilson, he's a top 5 QB. Oh, Russell Wilson, he's an MVP caliber player." Because I remember the year Cam won the MVP, that was Russell Wilson's like sort of coming out party. That's when Russell Wilson started to look like an elite QB because he was sensational that year. He was carrying the Seahawks and all this other stuff. That's what I'm talking about when it comes to Brock Purdy, in that I feel like we're jumping the gun on him too quickly. Like we're crowning him too early. Like I need to see more of this. I need to see him evolve, right? Before I all of a sudden say, okay, he's better than this player. He's better than Justin Herbert. That's just me.
Yeah, pretty much. I like the Russell Wilson analogy. I didn't even think about it like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I mean, Brock Purdy. I mean, he's not bad. He's not a bad QB in my
No,
opinion.
no, he's
But
not.
you can't sit up here and convince me that he's top five at anything besides winning.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Listen, he makes good decisions, but at the end of the day, it's a lot of luck involved, and he has a lot of players around him. Could he become great one day? Sure, but I'm not. Let's not jump the gun on this. We didn't do it for Tom Brady. We didn't do it for Russell Wilson. Let's not jump the gun for Brock Purdy. Why are we jumping the gun already for Brock Purdy? Is what I'm trying is what I'm wondering. Now, Jalen Hurts, you can make a legitimate argument like, oh, but guess what? Jalen Hurts, what was that? His third year? That was his third year playing, right? So, I mean, we didn't necessarily jump the gun on Jalen Hurts. Now you could say, well, Jalen Hurts, if you compare his second year to Brock Purdy's better. Okay, all right, that is true. But at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts, it took like before we gave him the credit, like he had to wait 3 years before we gave him like any type of credit. Like we keep jumping the gun on these QBs. Trevor Lawrence as well. People were jumping the gun on him because he's the number one pick. Oh, because he's one of the more talented QBs. Like we have to stop jumping the gun. The only quarterback that I looked at and I said immediately, okay, he's one of the best was Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert came out and he was already one of the better QBs we've seen in a long time. CJ Stroud as well. See, if those QBs are different, those QBs are rare. They're gems because they came into the league and they put the league by storm immediately. And I look at Brock Purdy and I say, let's hold on now. Let's see him do more of it. Let's see him improve. And then I will give him that elite status. I'll give him, okay, he's better than Justin Herbert or somebody. But for right now, no.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
One
so
last thing
yeah, go ahead,
about
man.
this game. Dan Campbell, you know the phrase, you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
Yep.
And all we heard of through Dan Campbell's tenure with the Lions is that, oh, they're an aggressive team on fourth down. They're going to go for it. And look where it ended up with them. They lost by 3 points, and they opted to not kick 2 field goals. Very poetic ending for them, I must say. And
Yep.
Dan Campbell, I like the fact that he kept it real with this team after the game. He said this might have been it
Mm-hmm.
because in the NFL, it happens. Look at the Rams. The Rams won that ring. They haven't gotten back close since, even though it's only been about 2, maybe 3 years since that. But
Mm-hmm.
hey, there's a lot of teams that come and go. Look at the Saints. The Saints was close. I mean, look what happened then. The Vikings weren't in the championship game that one year, right? Against
Mm-hmm.
the Eagles. Look what happened
Mm-hmm.
then. So I mean, it's really a year-to-year league. The Super Bowl window is probably the smallest championship window of any league in America. So I mean, that was your chance. You were up. You had the game in your hands. Like you literally fumbled the game away.
Pretty
And
much.
it's just a shame, honestly.
I'm just glad that my team isn't in the same conference as Patrick Mahomes. That's all with hey, at the end of the day, if your team is in the NFC, you're in good hands because Patrick Mahomes is on the other side, and I do not want to be in the same conference as Patrick Mahomes because he is the Michael Jordan. Right? Honestly, if there's one player in NFL history that reminds me of Michael Jordan is Patrick Mahomes for the simple fact that he came into the league and he was going off. Like he put the league by storm immediately. The first game he started, he put the league on storm, just like with Michael Jordan. And I'm glad that the Packers are not in the AFC. Like, oh my God, I can only imagine being a Ravens fan and having to worry about Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, for the next 10 years.
Now CJ Stroud.
CJ Stroud. And then the wild card could be Justin Herbert. Oh my God. For 10 years.
Yeah.
That's insane.
In the NFC side, who we got? Jordan Love.
I mean,
Jordan
he
Love,
can improve. He could always improve,
he's
but
going.
he's
I
like,
think Jordan Love will be next up.
but still, like, there's not a definitive quarterback that you're scared of. There's not a single quarterback that you looked at and you say, "Oh my God, he's gonna stand in our way." There's no Tom Brady. There's no Patrick Mahomes. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, like with the NFC, that's the beauty of it all is that every team feels like they have a chance. Every team feels like they have a chance. While on the AFC side, you have to hope and pray that Mahomes has a bad day.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that'll do it for the NFC and AFC championship reactions. We will I would say next week we'll do our predictions for the Super Bowl And
Yeah.
so just stay tuned on that. I want to go.
Look, cold world, still a cold world. And a couple y'all is cool, but we a little more thorough. Whole time, a little more girls. You know I spit that sick shit and it's still no cure. Hold up, loud